The Battery Buzz podcast is brought to you by H.B. Fuller Company. H.B. Fuller is one of the battery industry's leading suppliers of adhesive, encapsulant, coatings, and sealants for the EV and battery industry. Hello, and welcome back to Battery Buzz, the show for battery professionals by battery professionals, keeping you connected to what's new with batteries and the people who help build them. Your battery specialist hosts, Elizabeth Canaz and Jermaine Murray-Selvage, are back for our next episode. Now let's get started. So thank you for joining us this week, and we're welcoming a very special guest, Dr. Daniel Lee from Flexion. We're thrilled to have Daniel on the podcast to share what Flexion is working on in the battery space, and we're looking forward to an engaging discussion and learning more about the unique applications and design. Daniel, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course. So Dr. Lee is a director of sales at the XEV battery applications, so Flexion. So he has 15 plus years in lithium ion battery and systems development for all sorts of automotive applications. His experience and expertise includes battery modeling, algorithm development, global battery system development, and securing global production programs. So amazing work. Dr. Lee has led multiple global lithium ion production programs, working with teams across North America, Europe, China. And he's also an established technical leader in the industry and holds several patents in lithium ion battery development. He's responsible for the technical and commercial developments of new applications for future customer programs within Flexion, which is a newly established division of FlexingGate, which Daniel will go through. And fun fact, he and his kids are currently training for a black belt in Taekwondo, which is very cool.
Yes, it's been 3 years going. And we're at the final push now. So we have June 1st is the black belt test, and the kids and I are pretty stressed out. It's a very intense program, to say the least. So
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds intense. So what drove you guys to start pursuing this black belt in Taekwondo?
Oh, I've always liked martial arts. I feel like it's a really good, I call it a sport, an activity that you can do. It drives self-discipline. It's defensive. It protects everybody in the future. And it really teaches the philosophies that I like behind martial arts is one of respect and kindness to other people, as opposed to maybe what you see in the movies, which is, hurting people or doing whatever or doing some cool moves. But really, the best martial arts is the type that you never have to use because you're always able to defend yourself. And be aware of your surroundings. So for my kids and for myself, safety is very important, and just be having that self-confidence and capability to know your own self, as you go forward in the world. So, yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I wish you guys the best in your black
Thanks.
belt
Yeah,
test.
I'll let you know if I break a leg, literally.
Do you have to break a board or something? Is that part of it? Okay.
We have to do 3 breaks. I have to break 3 boards with the foot, 2 boards with the hand, and then another 2 boards with any technique that I choose. And then the boys, they're younger, so they can break 2-1-1 or 2-2-1, something like that. So.
Okay.
Nice.
And how old are your boys?
The oldest is 13, the second one is 11, and the youngest one is 9. And my daughter's actually doing it too, but she's not going for a black belt yet. She's 7, so hopefully in a few more years she'll
follow in your guys'
She's
footsteps.
well on her way. Yeah. And my brother is a 3rd degree black belt in Taekwondo, and it's he was once you get that first one, you just don't want to stop. You just love it, and he loves the Taekwondo for all the reasons that you do. So that's so cool.
Right. Yeah, very cool. So, like I said, I'll let you guys know how it goes and wish us luck. So,
Yes.
Well, you'll add that to your list of accolades after your bio is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was a long one. That was probably one of the longer ones I've had to read.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I should probably shorten that just a little bit. But
No,
You're a
it's
busy
you did
person.
all of it.
Just accomplishing all these amazing things.
Yeah.
it's been a great ride in the battery area. So started off a long time ago, and it's been able to see the industry kind of move and recede, and then move and recede. But hopefully it'll keep on moving. So that's kind of the goal, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's I hope, we're going to see lots of progress, in this space. And so maybe we can start in, if you can explain, what is Flexion doing in the battery space, and how is it compared to the Flexingate group that is part of that?
Yeah, fantastic. So thanks for the question there, Elizabeth. So yeah, Flexion is a subsidiary of Flexingate, and Flexingate is a tier one automotive supplier. We do everything metal, plastics, and lighting essentially for the vehicle. So for the metals part, you'll do underbody stampings, door frames, A pillar, B pillars, and we do a lot of those types of components for the vehicles, for the manufacturers. On the plastic side, you'll do front end fascias, panels, anything that has to be molded or plastic type of materials that needs to be installed into the vehicle as well. And then for the lighting, we do a lot of the lighting for many of the vehicles as well, the front end lighting, tail end lighting, and then decorative lighting. So those are our three main components, and we're very strongly connected with the automotive sector. And a lot of our customers are within North America and Europe. And we've seen this trend, or at least our owner saw this trend several years ago, that EV is going to be an upcoming trend here, not just a trend, but a standard within the automotive industry. And he saw specifically that there was a gap or some white space, if you will, in North America for cell manufacturing. Don't take me wrong, there's still manufacturing back then. There was global manufacturing, but within North America, he's very focused in on having a localized supply chain that would be able to support the customers that we serve, specifically within North America. So with that came out of 3.5 years ago, Flexion. So we're a startup, if you will, within a large organization. We have the support of the owner and the board as well too. And the commitment was made several years ago to build a battery center, a world-class battery center, where we could develop our own chemistries, develop our own cells, and service any of the North America OEMs who wanted to do cell development here for their applications. So we looked for a suitable location, and we broke ground with a pilot line over in Windsor, Ontario. It's called the Flexion Battery Innovation Center. And with that one, we wanted to have two main goals there to be achieved. One is have cell development, but then also to have manufacturing. And if you know anything about like the automotive area, it's very manufacturing intense. And our company specifically is very keen on having manufacturing quality and capabilities. We don't just want to farm this out to a third-party supplier to make cells for us. We want to develop it, but we also want to manufacture it. We want to know how to manufacture it. So a large part of this facility is also focusing on the manufacturing to be able to scale up to large volume for our customers.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
that's
interesting.
pretty
I did
unique.
see,
Yeah.
I did see that your founder, just fun fact, he started with a bumper, like manufacturing a
Right.
bumper. And I thought that was, and it's the original person that founded this
Exactly.
company. Yeah,
Right.
I saw that and I was like, that is really interesting that he had designed a special bumper,
Yeah.
um, and patented it, I believe.
Exactly. Yeah. Mr.
Yeah.
Khan is he's an engineer by trade, so he's very intelligent, very smart, but very savvy. And he looks at things in terms of, he always says this, or he says this sometimes, manufacturing, there's a lot of sexy things in the world, technology and AI and all sort of stuff, but really what it comes down to is the things that aren't sexy or aren't the buzz at the time. And that is the manufacturing. People always need to have things to manufacture, whether it's the bumper or the stamping or the parts. Our customers rely on our ability to service them and provide them these components to be able to build the vehicles that they then can make sexy, or make very beautiful and have that allure in marketing. We're just in the back end of things, and we just want to help the customers to achieve their goals.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, and
Everyone needs a bumper,
that's true.
especially in New York and Chicago
LA.
and good quality bumpers, right?
Yeah, I think that's cool, and I think that's pretty unique for, a company that's so established, you're in the automotive space to kind of branch out, and especially when you're talking about how, you can work on actual like on the cell chemistry level and actually like design the cells. I don't really see that often. Like you said, it's a lot of people buy from very established cell manufacturers and then do all the design work around that. But you kind of go one step further down.
Right.
Uh, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and that's actually really core to our company as well too, which is, we're privately held, right? So we definitely want to hold our destiny in our own hands, and having a lot of the know-how internally, we really trust our team, our employees, our leadership to really set us up to be able to do this in-house. And and this is not saying anything derogatory towards other companies, but a lot of times you'll see startups, they'll license technology, or they will have technology that they develop themselves, and then they'll license that out so someone else can do it. We really wanted to make sure that we have a closed loop system or closed loop environment here where we're developing the chemistry in conjunction with our partners, if that's so be. But we really didn't want to just purchase licensing technology from another company and then just become a cell manufacturer. We do want to have the capability to be very flexible with our customers in the development process and know that there could be unique solutions that need to be developed for specific applications. So we can create something for a high power application, a high energy application, a hybrid application, or targeting certain types of metrics and performances there. So we can develop those
Nice.
chemistries in-house, and we can produce it in-house as well too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
and
I know
that's
where the
something I
flex
think.
comes from.
Well, that's Mr.
I know, I was
Todd's
gonna make a
thing.
joke
That's
there too.
I was like, I knew that she was going to, so I had to beat her to it, you see?
perfect. Yes.
So you
Oh.
make cells, so do you make it sounds like you have a very wide range on what you can produce. Are you able to produce like pouch, prismatic, and cylindrical, or are you focused on any form factor?
No. So obviously this is a new venture for us. So we had to start off somewhere to learn essentially. So we looked at the current market and we knew that NMC and LFP were the two dominating chemistries within the market itself. And then pouch was something that we had identified as a very I won't say easy form factor to make, but it's a very flexible form factor to make that we can customize without much tooling. So what we ended up doing was start off with NMC as our first chemistry for development, which was basically launched just a year after we started the Flexion, the Battery Innovation Center, and we ordered all the equipment, our pilot line equipment, and our laboratory as well too, to be able to work on those ones. So we did focus on those ones as our first pass into the battery area. Since then, we've been able to work on LFP as well and other NMC variants. And we've added on capability in our facility to do prismatic and cylindrical. So yes, Flex and Gate is very flexible within Flex Ion. So we can do everything. And that's really, again, we see that we try to go towards the major trends first and make sure we can at least get our capability and our foundation down. So that way we can garner a lot of credibility with our customers. If they're able to see that we can do one thing well, then they trust us that we can then branch out and do other things well that's important to them. Um,
Mhm.
and since then, we've been able to launch our pouch cell in NMC. We've been able to launch a cylindrical cell in NMC. We've been able to launch a prismatic cell in NMC. And then now we're going into our LFP cell. We have the chemistry developed at a small pouch cell trial cell level, and we're going to be launching that in a pouch cell coming into the next quarter as well too. So these are all kind of moving along here as we get into different areas of development. But really, we do have a lot of form factors that we can work on. In addition to that, our line is very flexible in terms of the sizes that we can do. So our prismatic cells can do very small to very large, up to 200 amp hour large prismatic cells, depending on the chemistry. And our cylindrical cells can go all the way down from the small size cells, 27750s. We're doing right now, we're launching the cylindrical cells in the 4680 cell size. And then we
Okay.
have, but our cylindrical cells can go all the way up to like 55 millimeters in diameter and about 120 millimeters high. So it can be a really large cylindrical cell as well.
Well, that's impressive. I know it's definitely a need in the market to
Mm,
have, North American produced, materials
s-
and products. So
exactly.
I think it's great what you guys are doing and you're in the forefront. I know I've seen several companies try to do cell manufacturing and you go to their facility and they've shut the line down. I don't know
Right.
what the barriers, so I know it's not an easy task to do because I've seen several people not able to accomplish that. So kudos to you guys for doing a good job and doing it well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elizabeth. It's definitely been a good journey so far, and the challenges we've hit our road bumps along the way, but we're continuing to get customers to work with us. We have several active customer projects right now, and as we continue going forward, the battery need isn't going away, and we're here to make sure that people have a place to work on their battery development programs with us here in North America.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess I'm curious, are there any unique capabilities or like innovations that Flexion has that maybe like sets you apart from other companies in the industry, or like anything that you kind of want to highlight about what you can do?
So definitely within Flexion, I would say, well, let me talk first about the higher side of things, because I think one of the unique things that brought me over specifically to FlexionGate is their ability to manufacture, and not only to manufacture, but to manufacture multiple components. I've worked on the battery side, just like you said before, Elizabeth. There's lots of suppliers out there, and I've worked on the cell manufacturing side of things, and it's been great. We get to have the cell manufacturing, we get the components in, we build the full battery packs. It's been fantastic. However, the one big challenge that I've seen in my experience is having to work with 20, 30, 40, 100 different suppliers, right?
Mhm.
And the suppliers are all there to help the industry. That's great. I think that's definitely very valuable, the service that they bring to it. But it can be a little bit cumbersome from time to time, especially when you're going through with a quick turnaround time with design changes and iterations that need to be made and the manufacturing capability that goes along with that. Since FlexionGate is already a very competent manufacturer of specific components, such as bumpers and fascias, that translates to being able to manufacture a large part of the components inside of a complete battery pack itself. So you think about the tray, right? The tray is a steel metal box. It can be stamped, it can be molded, it can be welded together, but a lot of the parts are there. The cover is there, the bus bar components, the module components as well too. So we did and this is really a big part of it. I really like the fact that truly FlexionGate can be an A to Z supplier, right? Not
Mhm.
just FlexIon. They can manufacture the battery components. We can manufacture the chemistry. We can manufacture the cell. And on top of that, FlexionGate is very well adept in terms of assembly and sequencing. So this is a part where we can actually assemble the battery pack itself as well too. And again, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of companies out there that do a lot of the assemblies, and it's not easy, right? It's definitely not easy, and it definitely takes a lot of commitment to do those types of things and make everyone safe and build a good quality product. But with FlexionGate and FlexIon having this connection between the core competencies of the parent organization and FlexIon bringing the chemistry aspects to it and the cell manufacturing aspects to it, that's one very unique thing that really attracted me to come to FlexionGate and really support them in their vision for a company like FlexIon. Okay. Now, specifically with FlexIon, I would say I truly believe this. There's not very many um, facilities like ours. And this is not, again, saying anything negative towards anybody else. I think everyone's got their part. There's a lot of good labs that do a lot of good technology development, right? Core development, foundational development in different chemistries, and they can go up to a certain level. Coin cells, small pouch cells. That's very foundational. Needs to be done to assess different types of technologies. Then you have some of the larger ones that are doing like the cell manufacturing, and they can do those, but maybe they're more focused in on, large volume production, right? What we really try to do that's unique at Flexion, and I would say there's only maybe 2 or 3 other facilities like ours here in North America, which is we do our development of chemistry in-house. We have a full lab upstairs in our facility. We have a quality lab that's dedicated for all the evaluation and doing the analysis of the chemistry and the electrodes that are coming off of our line. And then we have a full-scale pilot line that can do pouch, prismatic, and cylindrical. So as I mentioned before, we're really fully versed in being able to marry these two things together in terms of having the cell chemistry development that we can work on in-house and the low volume production line, which gives us the ability to scale up. There's a big jump that you can take between going at the cell level and trying to make something at the larger cell level, and we can bridge that step between those two areas there. Not only that, we can try out new types of manufacturing processes. So we're doing dry coating. We're trying to do different solvents. We're trying to do aqueous types of, electrolytes as well too. And that can all be done on our full-scale pilot line that we have at our facility. So there's a lot of things that we can do to still focus in on low volume production, but have the ability to give us that stepping stone into a larger volume production, where if we want to have a partnership with one of our customers, then we can expand into another facility and dedicate that facility for them. But this is something that's very unique that I think we bring to the market here.
Yeah, I think that's important because scalability is bridging that gap is a struggle, and you guys seem to have figured it out pretty well. So I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think so too. And I've every time we bring in another customer into our facility, they're very impressed with our capabilities to support them. They're very what's the word? They're very complimentary of our ability to commit to something like this, even without customers. And that really goes back to our owner, Shad Khan, and the leadership and the board, being able to make this commitment to say, we're going into it and we want to show people that we can do this and that we are doing this, and that all the facilities and equipment that we have here and the team that we have at the Battery Innovation Center is going to be able to support them in their goals.
So what do you kind of see, since you're in the thick of it? What do you see as like industry trends? Like what is, from your standpoint, of the cell manufacturing to the module, design portion of it?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely still some existing trends here, at least in terms of, and I usually like to talk from a technical perspective, but energy density is always going to be a thing. You got to make things, more energy dense, smaller volumes, lighter weight, and just taking people further with less battery. So that's always going to be something. Higher power is actually very, I wouldn't say new, but with fast charging, I think it's the new limiting aspect of where batteries are going right now. And that is really, how do we get the consumer to adopt electric vehicles on a more, more more readily. And what that really means is, and a lot of people are hesitant. One, maybe range anxiety isn't there yet, but I hear a lot of people talking about charging infrastructure, and not everybody has a home, and how are they going to charge their vehicles if they live in an apartment? And those are absolutely very important topics to address. And I think the way that it's going to be addressed in our industry and in our society is going to have batteries that are able to fast charge. And if you're not familiar with fast charging, basically a normal battery, if you don't want to kill your battery and shorten its life, you really want to try to slow charge your battery, even your phone, right? And this is like one of my soapbox topics. Charging your phone at 2 amps may seem like a good idea until maybe it dies a little bit quicker than you expect. So I personally only charge mine on the 1 amp, unless I'm in a critical emergency state. Maybe I'll charge it a 2 amp charger. But every time you increase the current, it's going to degrade the life of your battery, right? So in that, it's the same thing with cars, right? If you charge any sort of electrical device, specifically a battery, lithium-ion batteries, you're going to degrade its life. So fast charging is for us, typically I would say 1 hour. Okay, that's a decent, normal, standard rate for people to charge. If you want to go from 0 to 100, you charge it at a rate that's going to give it 1 hour of time to get to full, essentially. However, we know that people aren't going to wait at gas stations for an hour to charge their car, or don't have the ability to maybe charge, they want to charge more quickly. And that is getting on parity with gasoline type ICE vehicles, which is sitting at the gas station. Typically 2 minutes is about what people would expect. Maybe 5 minutes would be a little bit on the long side, but 2 to 5 minutes, let's say. So we've got to basically increase the battery's ability to charge a lot quicker than what maybe we'd want it to, without degrading the life of the battery. And the battery has a warranty on it. So basically powertrain warranty, essentially, of 10 years. So if the battery gets damaged in any way, or there's any defects in it, it's part of that powertrain warranty, essentially, right? So we have to make sure that when people are still fast charging the batteries, it still lasts 10 years. So that's the big challenge right now within the industry. There's several companies that are working on this fast charging technology. There's several car companies that have released vehicles already that have this idea of fast charging technology in their batteries so far. But I would say a large portion of the industry is still not fast charge capable, in the sense of you can still fast charge, but you may degrade your battery. These are the fast charging batteries that will still last 10 years, but you can just go to, let's not call it a gas station, but let's call it a charge station, sit there for 2 minutes, and then you can go on your way and you've got a full battery, essentially, right? So that'll
Yeah.
be another
Yeah.
trend there. Right. I would say one more battery trend that we're seeing in the industry right now is around battery integration. Typically, batteries are made, so you have the cell, and then you put the cells together and you put them in a box. It's called a module. And you put a modules together and you put those into another box, and then you've got a battery pack. And so you've got a cell within a box within a box. And those are done very intently for manufacturing purposes, scrap rates, quality inspections, and then for, I'll call it, ease of assembly for the most part, and keeping things at low voltage. Each one of those modules should typically stay less than 60 volts for high voltage purposes. But then you've got the large battery pack. And we've seen Tesla kind of do this, and some other battery manufacturers and vehicle manufacturers do this as well too, where they're starting to go cell to pack. And cell to pack is basically a direct integration of cells into the battery pack itself. And what does that do for the manufacturer or for the vehicle? It basically takes out some unnecessary, well, we'll call them unnecessary, some overhead into the components there. So you don't have a module box anymore. You just got cells going into it. So you're taking out all the weight, you're taking out all the mass, you're taking out all the costs relative to those components. And then you're able to go sell the pack. Now, cell to pack manufacturing can be complicated. I still think that has yet to really be streamlined within the industry itself. But that is another trend that's coming along as well too. And you'll see those skateboard type designs that people are working on now, and those can be cell to pack type applications. But you can't compromise on safety. So cells are less protected theoretically, because it's not a cell in a box anymore. It's just a cell in a box. Now you just got to make sure, like the Titanic, making sure you don't have that one extra layer to protect the cells, right? So
Yeah.
nobody wants that, and we've got to be very cautious about that in the industry. But it can be done. It is being done, and I think as the manufacturing is optimized, we'll see more and more auto manufacturers to do that.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing a similar trend in a lot of our projects as well, that are, reduction of components, reduction of cost. They're all trying to compete with China. Hopefully the tariffs will help, or people achieve that. So there might be
Exactly.
some people happy about all the tariffs and some people
Right.
trying to make something cheaper than China. So
Yes.
Yeah, but on the same end, like you said, Daniel, like turning up the safety aspect of it, because you've taken out so many of these fail safes when you now are going not from cell to module to pack, but
Right.
cell to pack. That's kind of where it's interesting to see, and where we're heavily involved in. It's like, how can we balance like the benefits that you're getting, but also stay just as safe or even more safe, because it's a requirement, obviously. That's always
It's
first, like you said.
Exactly. And these challenges are good for us in the industry because we don't want to become complacent with what we have. And finding it's always the same thing with engineering and product optimization. You really want to go through and see what components can be reduced and really come up with new innovative ways. As you know, we've worked to seen some of the things that you're working on to be able to. Challenge ourselves in a new paradigm of thinking to remake the battery in a way that we haven't thought of before. It was easy way we got something functional in the battery industry, cells within a box. Now we're evolving, that concept. Okay, now we can make sure that it's faster, lighter, and safer than it was before.
Yeah. Nope, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for humoring us and answering all our questions.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, the next segment that we kind of like to do is basically where we all just scream at each other, aka battery banter.
There's no
No,
screaming.
yeah, we're very civilized, maybe. But yeah, we kind of, and I think there's really no one that's better suited to kind of help lead or have this discussion, right, with your experience, and you kind of talked about it, Daniel, is the manufacturing, and especially the manufacturing in North America. You
Yeah.
know, I think there's no question that lithium ion battery manufacturing in North America is something that, we want as we try to ramp it up here in North America, but is it feasible? Are the challenges too big to overcome with trying to bring all of that here to North America?
Yeah, it's a really big question, but I'll give a lens of optimism because I like to be optimistic. We have a very can-do attitude in Flex and Gate. We have a very can-do attitude in America, and I think when it really comes down to it, I think manufacturing itself, it's been proven, right? And I use Europe as an example. I mean, Europe is a very industrialized continent. There's a lot of industrialized countries over there, and we're in a very similar way of thinking as well too. Um, here in the United States and North America in general, I don't think it's a matter so much of whether or not North manufacturing over here is going to be feasible. I think it is very feasible, right? We have a lot of land, we have a lot of resources. There is definitely a need and a cost-effective. I would say a cost-effective means to be able to do cell manufacturing over here. LG set up their facilities, SK set up their facilities. There's still a lot of large cell manufacturers that are over here. We want to do it in North America, and we've looked at the case studies for it. I would say it would take a couple of things for us to make it more feasible, right, to be able to manufacture here in North America. Number one, the demand has to go up to make sure that we've got local demand here in the United States to be able to be competitive with the rest of the world. That definitely needs to come from government regulations, maybe some subsidies or some support from that perspective. But I think in general, it makes a lot of good sense to manufacture cells within the North America sphere. Specifically in the US and maybe in Canada and Mexico. The main issue I would say also is around the supply chain. I know probably there's a bunch
Yeah.
of people who will listen to this one and say, oh, that's just an easy answer. It is really the number one thing. It's the big elephant in the room. We manufacture cells over here in Flexion Gate, Flexion at the Battery Innovation Center, and we still have to buy a lot of our supplies overseas, which makes it a little challenging. When we look at our supply chain, we are very limited in the number of suppliers that we're able to work with that will be able to either one supply us volumes that we're looking for, not only at the cell manufacturing level that we have at the Battery Innovation Center for low volume, but then also for when we scale up even into 1 GWh, 2 GWh, 5 GWh, that size, that's starting even to be challenging as well too. Because there are already a lot of large manufacturers out there that are kind of committing to the volume. So I think diversifying our supply chain is definitely going to be important. Having some sort of local stable supply chain to feed into our North America manufacturing facilities is going to be very critical. And that'll be something that we're going to have to deal with largely in the market. So
Well, that
optimistically,
was,
yeah,
that's
go
kind
ahead.
of what I was thinking is, so I mean, just from your experience, like what do you think the feasibility of mining these minerals here, apparently there's, some pockets of minerals that we can get from our own land. But I mean, have you heard anything about that or seen the feasibility of that? Because
Yeah.
I know there's some pushback on environmental, or people don't want to live next to something that's being mined.
And it's a very delicate balance between, what are we extracting from Mother Earth, and how are we impacting the environment to be able to reach these minerals that we need. And I really don't know what the solution is. I mean, there's a lot of philosophical things that I could probably talk to you about, and maybe we can start it to a screaming match if you'd like. But maybe we'll. But
Finally.
I don't want to be too PC on this. I would say that um, there's a trade-off and a balance between what we think we would achieve in terms of benefits from extracting these minerals. And the holy grail is this, right? This is like the one sides of the equation, which is if we're able to extract these minerals, we would do less harm in the future, right? Because then we can recharge by solar and wind and use renewable energy. So it's a one-time impact to the environment to receive these minerals. And then once we get the batteries, they can last 10 years in a car, or, we're offsetting some of our oil consumption and fuel consumptions and lessen our CO2. So I haven't done the math on that. I know my own personal philosophy and what I think about it. But it is what I really think, it's a philosophical question, right? On the other side of the equation, it's there, we should mine it, and we'll fix things as we go forward, and we have regulations to keep things in check, and that we should take these out, right? So it kind of goes back and forth between where our motivation is. From my perspective, this is my ultimate perspective, I would say, is that this is a technology that um, we need to own within North America, right? It's energy, and it's a very critical aspect of energy. And I think if we don't have something that we're going to be able to own and control and to use for our own benefit, we're going to be stuck buying it from somebody else. And I'd
Yeah,
much rather make it and take care of our own backyard than to purchase it and be at the, I don't want to say mercy, but being subjected to purchasing it from somebody else.
yeah, I totally agree with you, Daniel. Because, the other aspect of it, right, is that if we look how a lot of these rare earth minerals are mined currently, they're not mostly done so ethically, right? There's a lot of turmoil and a lot of damage that it does, not even just on the environment, but just how it's sourced, on people itself. So the
Yeah.
fact that you're saying owning it here and being able to control it here in North America, do it more ethically, right? I think that's also an added benefit,
So,
um, that, we might not consider right now.
yeah.
But I think once people get more perspective of as to how these are mined currently, it's like, yeah, I think that's more motivation to bring it here into the United States for sure.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I would say I would really challenge people, if they have, certain perspectives on things, to think about what this means in the larger picture of things, having it made somewhere else. Like you said, there's definitely some looser regulations in different countries that don't treat people so well or treat the environment so well. But then also on top of that, there it's a very critical technology, I would say, that we should be able to make, right? Your batteries come from somewhere, and you're purchasing those from somebody else, most likely. Or at least the companies that are purchasing these cells and putting them into your laptops, putting them into your phone, putting them into your home and garden devices, are all being purchased elsewhere. And it can be a very precarious situation if you're very reliant on a technology that is being produced somewhere else, and then you're not able to produce it yourself. Then you become, very dependent on that, and it can be a very tricky situation to be in.
And you bring up a really good point, is everything now is powered by these batteries. I mean, the energy storage system, the UPS system for data, those
Yeah,
data centers.
right.
Um, I mean, it's just if you think about how reliant or dependent we are to keep
Yes.
running, we need these batteries. So I mean,
Yeah.
even for hospitals to keep them running, if the power supply is interrupted from the grid. I mean, so there's a lot going into this, I think, than more than meets the eye.
Right.
So we'll have to start our own mining company here soon and
That's perfect. Give Shot a
and
call.
Yeah.
so I think it's bigger than, and it's just a whole big monster that we need to wrap ourselves around and figure out where we all stand, as a continent over here.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
exactly. Right.
And
Yeah.
like you said, it's big, but and all that I think takes time, like
Yeah.
building it all, the mining, like the skilled worker, like there's a definite gap, right? We're not really trained to do all that because it's not big here right now. Like, but I think that all takes time, and that's why I think it's so critical to start now. Because who knows that, it might take, like I
Yeah.
think it took China like 20 to 30 years to really get to like that high production environment that they're in right now. Like we're
Yeah.
already behind. So,
Yeah.
we have to kind of start. But like you said, Daniel, it's all about the demand as well. But like you said, I think it's there. Whether people see it or not, it's not just cars. These batteries are everywhere. The demand is there.
Exactly. And I'm very hopeful because, again, not to be too optimistic, but I don't see us going in reverse. We're not going to have more gasoline cars or de-electrifying our devices, right? We like to be mobile. We're a society that I think as human beings, we're going through and we've come to a certain level of comfort and expectation in terms of how our mobility is affected and our communications are affected and our ability to stay powered, for lack of a better word, wherever we are. Even going camping, there's a lot of people now that are buying like, these backup battery packs just when they're going camping, it's
Yep.
like, no electricity, so, but yes, but, it's okay. That's fine. But I think there's a lot of areas that even if automotive is a huge aspect of how electrification is going to proceed within this country or this continent, so to speak. But we have backup power, we have grid energy storage, we have all these home residential type battery systems that are coming up, power walls, electric vehicle trucks. We have electric drones. There's a lot of things that are getting electrified that are going to continue to spur the demand for, cell development and cell manufacturing in North America. So I don't see it going away. I think it's going to continue in that trend. It's going to be, if you could buy stocks in this, it's like just keep going this way because everything's going to get electrified if it
Mhm.
were a stock. But yeah, that's just kind of how I see it. I don't see us going backwards and plugging back into the wall everywhere and having cords that are 30-foot long and coming back wherever we need to when we need to charge up again. We're going to need to have some of this capability at home here.
Yes, definitely. Well, I
I agree.
appreciate your guys' perspective on this, and that's all the time we have for today. So thank you for joining us, and join us next month for another episode of the Battery Buzz podcast. We will be showcasing a unique H.B. Fuller product in our next episode, EV Therm 602, a thermally conductive dielectric coating for cold plate applications.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Daniel, especially for joining us and all your incredible insight. Yeah, excited to continue working with you and kind of learn more from you as we go. But as I said, thank you. If you have any comments or questions on today's discussion, please feel free to comment or give us your insights. And then please subscribe, like, follow, and check out all the content on our electric battery adhesives page on LinkedIn. So thank you.
All
Wonderful.
right,
Thanks for
thanks.
having
Bye.
me. Cheers. Bye.